Have you ever been in a conversation where someone asks you a simple question and you just spiral? You start talking, then you're talking about something else, and suddenly you've lost everyone, including yourself. Yeah, me too. And it's the worst feeling. But here's what I learned after years of messing this up. The problem isn't that you don't know what to say. The problem is you don't have a system for organizing your thoughts in real time. So today, I'm breaking down the exact frameworks I use to never ramble again. These are mental shortcuts that turn messy thoughts into clean, powerful responses. Let's get into it. First, let me show you what rambling actually looks like, because I think we've all done this. Somebody asks, hey, what do you think makes a good leader? And without thinking, you go, oh, well, leadership is really interesting because there's so many aspects to it. Like you have to be confident, but not too confident. And you also need to listen to people. But I read this book once that said something about vulnerability. And also my manager at my last job was terrible. So I think empathy is important too. But see what happened there? Your brain just dumped everything it knew about leadership in one messy pile. That's not communication. Stop trying to say everything. Start using frameworks.
Let me give you the first framework. I call it point-proof pattern. Here's how it works. You make your point, you give proof, then you show the pattern. So let's try that same question again. What makes a good leader? Point. I think the most underrated quality in a leader is curiosity. Proof. I've noticed that the best leaders I've worked with didn't have all the answers. Instead, they asked better questions. They'd walk into a problem and say, what am I not seeing here? Instead of immediately jumping to solutions. Pattern. And when you look at leaders who fail, it's usually because they stopped being curious. They assumed they knew everything. Done. Clean, powerful, no rambling. The beauty of this framework is it forces you to be specific. You can't just vomit information. You have to choose one point, back it up, and connect it to a bigger pattern. This works for job interviews, presentations, even casual conversations. Anytime someone asks you, what do you think about X? Just go point, proof, pattern. Quick pause. If that framework just made something click for you, tap like so I know this landed. That's literally how I figure out what to make more of. Now, back to our video.
All right, here's the second framework. And this one's my secret weapon for complex topics. I call it the triangle method. You break any topic into 3 angles. What, why, and how. Let me show you. Someone asks, why should we care about climate change? Most people panic and start throwing random facts. Well, the ice caps are melting, and also there's hurricanes, and I saw this documentary about polar bears, and stop. Use the triangle. What? Climate change is the long-term shift in global temperatures and weather patterns. Why? We should care because it directly impacts our food supply, water access, and where we can safely live. And how? The way forward is a combination of individual action and systemic change. See? What, why, how? 3 clean angles that cover the topic without overwhelming your listener. This framework is incredible for teaching, explaining concepts, or anytime you need to break down something complicated. Instead of spiraling through every detail you know, you give people 3 clear perspectives.
Last framework. And this one's for that moment when someone asks about something you don't want to talk about. That's where the bridge technique comes in. Here's the structure. Acknowledge, pivot, deliver. Let's say you're in a meeting and someone asks, why did our last campaign fail? You don't want to throw people under the bus, but you also can't dodge the question. Acknowledge. That campaign definitely didn't hit our targets, and we learned some hard lessons from it. Pivot. What's more interesting to me is what we discovered about our audience through that process. Deliver. We realized we were speaking to the wrong pain point. Now we're focused on addressing what they actually care about, and early results are looking much stronger. See what happened? You didn't ignore the question, but you also didn't dwell on the negative. You acknowledged it, then bridged to something more productive. This framework is your safety net. Use it in tough interviews, awkward conversations, or anytime you need to redirect without being obvious about it.
Now here's the thing. These frameworks only work if you actually use them. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one framework, just one, and for the next week, use it every single day. Before you answer a question at work, think point, proof, pattern. When you're explaining something complex, think what, why, how. When you're in a tricky conversation, think acknowledge, pivot, deliver. The more you practice, the more automatic this becomes. Eventually, you won't even think about the framework. Your brain will just organize thoughts this way naturally.
If you're still watching till now, then it shows that you genuinely care about this. So prove it by hitting that like and subscribe buttons for me.